Mrs. Perry could hear the dog barking. She thought immediately, something's wrong. Mrs. Perry, Madeline R., 47, stepped out onto the rear landing of her townhouse. From there, she could see the animal below in the adjoining courtyard of the townhouse belonging to Michael A. Justman. It was Dr. Justman's dog, didn't get name of animal, a 90-pound Rhodesian Ridgeback, a special breed bred in Africa to hunt lions. The dog, Mrs. Perry stated, was normally very well behaved. It was now, however, acting completely crazy, making violent rushes from the ground-level courtyard halfway up the flight of steps that ascended to the rear landing and back door of Dr. Justman's townhouse, barking furiously, then running back down, still barking, then charging back up again. A characteristic of Rhodesian Ridgebacks, Mrs. Perry said she had learned earlier from Dr. Justman, is that they don't bark, or only a little. Mrs. Perry was now seriously alarmed. She called to her husband, Ernest V. Perry, 51, who was inside their townhouse. "I told him to come out right this second and bring his phone." Mrs. Perry descended the flight of steps into her own rear court. She could see the Ridgeback dog up close now on the far side of the common wall between her yard and Dr. Justman's. The animal's ears were lying flat, and saliva was dripping in long strings from its jaws. Mrs. Perry noted neighbors appearing on other landings above the common court behind the row of townhouses. She recognized one friend, Miss Luturinitis, Alicia C., 67, whose residence was on the far side of Dr. Justman's. Mrs. Perry shouted to Miss Luturinitis to call 911.